Khabib Nurmagomedov versus Conor McGregor is one of those fights where the moment it gets announced, you get goosebumps and you go, whoa, here we go.
You're not ready for such a big story of rivalry between Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov, friends.
Irish, only 6 million. Russian, 150 million. I want to fight with your chicken because this is #1 easy fight in lightweight division.
And we prepared for you a real documentary dedicated to the beef of the notorious Irishman and the Dagestani Eagle.
There was an incident with Artem Lobov and a few of your teammates. Can you comment on what happened during that incident?
Nothing happened.
If one of us go to war, we all go to war. What the? Pussy!
Send me a message, hey, come here, this place, and that's it. Without security, without UFC.
Professional fighter Conor McGregor now has a court battle on his hands.
McGregor's been charged with 3 counts of assault and 1 count of criminal felony mischief.
The huge popularity of both guys and the tension that came from the clash of 2 conflicting worlds led to this unprecedented war. Get comfortable, friends, as you're about to see an exciting once-in-a-lifetime story. Grab a lot of snacks and we begin. Have a great time.
I can't believe we're gonna fight, because I really want this guy. Make him humble, a little bit teach him, and not only smash, like change his face. I want to change his face. Of course, with the face, I can change his mind too. And this is what I want.
The rivalry of Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov became the most significant and brightest chapters in the history of the UFC and mixed martial arts. Their beef transcended the sporting competition, turning into a global phenomenon which affected the development of the sport, media, business, and even social discussions. One could even say that it happened to be a catalyst for the growth of the world's best league as a global empire, as it clearly proved that MMA could produce superstars like Messi and Ronaldo, combining sport, drama, and human stories. Even after they left the sport, this clash remains the standard of how personal rivalry, backed with mastery, charisma, and genuine disdain towards each other, can change the entire industry. But how did we get to this point? Like, it happens all the time, doesn't it? And to answer this question, we need to go back to the very beginning and break down every moment in the career of these 2 gentlemen.
The start when he walked in here, he was given out. He walked in with his football boots and he came up and he started messing around with the bag, punching the bag. Now he's only about 10, right? He's after been playing outside at Crumlin United, yeah. And one of the coaches says, "Take your boots off, son. Then you can start punching the bag." Stephen Kavanagh told him to take his boots off. And then he came in and start punching the bags again, right? And I think his mother had the boots or his father, I don't know who would say at the time, right? But I like there's so many kids come in here, he was just one of them. But
we will go in parallel, so to say, of these 2 incredible stories filled with all kinds of events, telling you about their formation journeys and gradually knitting it all together. Conor McGregor always knew that he would be a professional fighter. He was born in Crumlin and later moved to Lucan, suburbs of Dublin. It's a specific place where from birth an ordinary Irish boy figured that he was to learn 2 things: to play soccer and fight, or to be exact, to stand up for himself if needed. The boy was always interested in martial arts. He said that himself numerous times. One of the main idols in his childhood was Muhammad Ali, the legendary representative of the boxing industry. So it's not surprising that the teenager Conor got into the sport.
My name is Conor McGregor and I live in Lucan. I'm a professional MMA fighter with a record of 4-1. I'm an up-and-coming fighter, and without a doubt you will see me on the UFC in the near future, without a doubt.
As you know, young McGregor didn't resemble this hungry, obsessed and focused version of himself that we all fell in love with. All because back then he didn't have that special support from his family. Parents were not big fans of their son's hobby, and this loyal and loving girl, Dee Devlin, hadn't come into his life just yet. There was hunger, but a regular one, not for glory and performances. It was a very early stage when he couldn't dedicate all of his time to training due to a number of factors: studying, constant lack of money, and job as a plumber, which took the bigger part of his time that he could spend in the gym.
I was on social welfare when it was just, I was not a normal young man, in Ireland, had no job, didn't really know, I was just chasing a dream. But it wasn't like, I didn't, it wasn't as bad as some, people have it a lot worse. That's what I was saying. People have it a lot worse. I got by, I got by, I got stretchy.
At the same time, we have Khabib Nurmagomedov. He was born in Sildi, Sumedinsky district, Dagestan, ASSR. It's obvious that the destiny of all male members of the Nurmagomedov family was predetermined since their birth. They have been doing sports since the beginning of time, namely combat sports. The guy's father, Abdulmanap, was a national champion in judo and sambo, European champion and national master of sports, and also one of the best coaches in the MMA sphere and aforementioned disciplines. No wonder that such a qualified specialist was bound to produce a high-level professional of his craft. The childhood memories about my father were that there always was a regimen. There were certain rules. Training was going to hand in hand with studying. It was always like that. Every day I had to train and study. Khabib also has older brothers whose footsteps he followed from childhood. Hard training, a continuous and persistent regimen, no opportunity to do your personal stuff, and indisputable discipline. This was the foundation of the Dagestani boy's childhood. He literally did not know anyone or anything but training and gym partners, where he was drilling different techniques on a daily basis. Khabib's father taught him hard work almost from the cradle. That's why he is so brilliant on the canvas. Just think about it. The eagle wrestled a real bear. That's the kind of hardening he went through in his childhood, not to mention his brawls and fights with his peers. He, like Conor, always participated in different scraps, which made a certain contribution to the formation of his character.
This is wrestling bears.
Wrestling bears.
This happened in zoo. It's like circus bear. He can wrestling. These guys teach him wrestling.
Oh, okay.
He take me down 2 times.
You were 9?
Yes, but I take him down too. It's a very close match. I think I win split decision.
As we already mentioned, early McGregor was too young to dream, imagine, envision, and put his thoughts into reality. The right people, books, and environment came to him a bit later. So, at first, he was too green to set high goals. He had one amateur fight on February 17th of 2007 and finished his opponent in 1.5 minutes. His professional career in mixed martial arts started on March the 8th of 2008. He debuted at the local event in Dublin, where he handled his opponent already in the very beginning of the second round. Based on this footage, the beginning prospect was more interested in the striking technique, and this interest manifested itself in the approach he chose and the thoroughness he fine-tuned his stand-up game with. The Irishman is a southpaw, so it's clear what his main weapon is. On May 3rd, the prospect fought again at the event where the fighters from Ireland went up against Belgians. Our hero finished his opponent in 66 seconds via TKO. By the way, the Notorious started his MMA career as a featherweight. In the future, he performed in the lightweight division multiple times and returned back to featherweight, but we won't focus too much on that. On June 28th, Conor McGregor fought at Cage of Truth 3. However, he couldn't handle Artem Sitenkov, whom he lost to via knee bar in 69 seconds. This loss really hurt the Irishman and his pride, and he was truly bothered by that, so for some reason he developed a particular mindset. If you want to be successful in the sport, defeats are unacceptable. But the truth is that defeats are inevitable and even very important. Without them, it's impossible to bounce back, learn from mistakes, and make progress. Eventually, he returned to competing by the end of 2008. On December 12th, Conor stopped Stephen Bailey by TKO in the first round and kind of got back on track.
Well, I've been boxing pretty much all my life. I started MMA around 2 or 3 years ago, and about 2 years ago I'd say, and I instantly had a knack for it, and I really loved it. It's like an addiction for me.
At the same time, Khabib Nurmagomedov was not in a hurry to break into mixed martial arts. He decided to build some foundation which he would base his game on. Such happened to be freestyle wrestling, which our hero has been mastering since the age of 5, consistently and tirelessly. Closer to his teenage years, he added boxing, judo, and later incorporated combat sambo as well. Besides countless hours of practice, training sessions in the gym, sparring and other stuff, the Dagestani performed a lot on the amateur scene. Khabib's father loaded his son with combat sports to such an extent that they imprinted in his DNA and became an inseparable part of the guy's life. He said himself in one of his older interviews that he had more than 300 bouts in amateurs. Now that's a statement, isn't it? Father made me train in the morning and evening. It was like life in the army. That's the gym where I first started coaching. At that time, I had 4 bulls. Here was a reception center. I sold those 4 bulls and began repairing the gym. It was my first investment into the sport. Later, the Eagle focused on combat sambo, where he competed quite frequently at all kinds of events to gain experience, get prize-winning places, and put bricks into the foundation of a bright future. Just so you understand how impressive Khabib's results were, by 16, one could say he was already among the top 3 sambo artists in Russia. On top of that, Nurmagomedov Sr. intentionally put his son in wrestling competitions where the guy wasn't too successful, which is not surprising. Abdulmanap wanted to instill in him a feeling of disgust to losing and developed his aspirations to self-perfection. Actually, it's a risky approach because there are 2 paths. Either the young athlete breaks and decides that big sport is not for him, or he continues to work through pain, anger, and umbrage until he eventually stops losing. Luckily, since we're telling you this story, Khabib took the second option. Why does he need to be somewhere after 12? Some would say like it's an individual. What life? Who do you belong to? Either you dedicate yourself to the sport or go to work like other people do. Everybody has to have a job. As a result, Khabib Nurmagomedov got ready to start his professional career in 2008 as well, like Conor. But while the Irishman started in March, the Dagestani with huge potential started in September. On September 13th, he debuted at CSFU Champions League event and choked Vusal Baramov out in the very first round. Just a month later, he performed at the event in Moscow, where he had an opportunity to fight 3 times at Atrium Pancration Cup and go through quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final stage, of course. All 3 victories on that night were earned by a unanimous decision, and thus, in just a month, Nurmagomedov racked up 4 wins in his professional career.
It's more like an obsession now. Everything I do is something to do with this, you know? It's always in my head. I'm always thinking about it. I'm definitely obsessed with it.
As for McGregor, he took a break from returning to the winning path and came back into the game only by October 2010. And in fact, it's understandable. He decided to play it safe and spend more time in training, especially given the fact that Dee Devlin appeared in his life, one of the best girls in the universe who believed in Conor, and who gave him hope and took the burden of being a breadwinner in their relationship while the Irishman was justifying his promises to dedicate his all to the sport and persistently improving his professional skills. In the end, the Notorious One smashed Conor Dillon in less than a round and added another TKO win to his record. A modest resume of 4-1 happened to be enough to have a debut in a rather popular local league, Cage Warriors.
His name is Joseph Duffy. He's unbeaten. I think he's top 10 European undefeated and share dog, and he's number 2. So we'll see about that. They can expect to see me pushing the pace, him with his back against the cage, looking for a way out, and then I'll finish him. I have power in my hands for a lightweight. I'm a big lightweight.
But the first attempt to break into such a renowned organization was unsuccessful. Duffy caught our hero making a mistake and made him surrender with an arm triangle in 38 seconds in total. It was another tough pill that McGregor had to swallow and move on. To be honest, the Irishman even thought of retiring from the sport. That's how painful and hard it was for him to come to terms with defeats at the beginning of his career. But he couldn't go back and leave. He had sacrificed too much, years of his life, job stability and all other stuff. Besides that, the support of his loyal girlfriend also kept him motivated. He had to continue fighting no matter what to justify her trust. By the way, here's a reaction of Mac from the future to his loss against Joseph, but years later.
I definitely have my eyes on Al Joe. So we'll see how he goes, but I would love nothing more than to KO him stiff and put him in the ground or send him back.
That's why Conor became even more fired up and put all of his focus on the comeback. At the same time, Khabib continued to improve his record by beating little-known opponents, but that doesn't mean that if all of them were no-names, they had no skills. By September of 2010, he had added 5 more wins to his record and extended his streak to 9 victories in a row. And only 4 of them were earned by decisions. The rest were stoppages inside 2 rounds via TKOs or some vicious submissions. It's hard sometimes. Anyway, you don't think about anything but the fight. But to be the cornerman is even harder. Believe me, I would rather fight than be a cornerman. So, since that moment began the journey of a motivated Conor. He entered the cage on February 12th of 2011. Let's remember that date because it happened to be a turning point for the entire world of mixed martial arts and a career of one particular Irish prospect. So, in February, our hero battered the head of Hugh Brady in the very first round. A month later, he knocked out Mike Wood in 16 seconds at Chaos FC 8. Then he slumped his opponent in April in 4 goddamn seconds. Just so you know, the poor guy's name was Paddy Doherty. On June 11th, the Notorious One destroyed Artur Sawinski in 6 minutes and 12 seconds. And already in September, he got another chance to debut in Cage Warriors and broke into the promotion with a dropkick on the second attempt. Aaron Janssen was completely dismantled on the feet in less than a round and folded in half under the powerful shots of the Irishman.
What inspires you? I don't know, I take inspiration from everything, you know what I mean? I don't really have one set thing that inspires me. I try and take inspiration from everything, from people just going out there and putting themselves out there, trying to chase something down, whatever it is. It could be martial arts, it could be anything. This guy chasing a college degree, you know what I mean? I'm inspired by everything. Someone chasing their dreams is what inspires me.
Just imagine what had to happen to a man after his second loss that he recalibrated in such a short period of time and racked up 5 knockouts in 10 months. It's something special, guys, you got to agree. It feels like somebody pressed the switch button inside McGregor's operating system, which turned on a heretofore hidden, even for him, so-called function of instant kill. It appears a fighter needs to get into a certain mental state, which is possible only in specific circumstances and conditions, to forever change him and fill him with an infinite flow of motivation. And it's clear what motivated our hero.
He's a European welterweight champ, UFC ready. You know what I mean? We can't even buy ourselves gear. For our guys coming up, we don't have sports council paying for shit. We just show up here and do what we do and beat the shit out of each other and just hope that we beat the shit out of each other enough that we become really good and get that shout for the UFC. And get there and start making the big money. The aim for everyone is to get to the UFC, the premier promotion. You know what I mean? No, you give a fuck about no other shit.
So, what was up with Khabib during this time? You likely wouldn't be surprised if we said that 2011 was also fruitful for him. Think about it yourself. On the same day as Mac, February 12th, Nurmagomedov stopped Alexander Agafonov via TKO. On April 9th, the Dagestani beast Said Halilov via Kimura in the first round. On May 5th, he defeated Ashot Shaginyan. Even the Eagle scored clean knockouts in his career. Can you imagine? On July 2nd, Khabib beat his opponent via triangle. The next two opponents of Khabib faced the same fate as they fell before him on August 5th and September 15th. But there's more. On October 22nd, Nurmagomedov fought Arimarcel Santos, whom he finished inside one round. Seven wins in a year and all stoppages. It's not just cool, but phenomenal. 16 victories with 0 losses in his professional career. Did the world's best league have even the slightest chance not to notice this talent? From childhood, he was saying that he wanted to compete in the UFC. He went to tournaments, to freestyle wrestling, then judo with Jafarov, but I wanted him to stay there, in the Olympic judo, and he was doing well. Jafarov is an honored coach, and gradually he switched to combat sambo. He already had a base in freestyle wrestling, judo, and combat sambo. He slowly started finding success, and at that level, he was invited into the UFC. And how did Conor McGregor get into the UFC? His path was quite exciting, in our opinion. You can share yours in the comments. So, let's pick up where we left off. After a successful debut in Cage Warriors, the Irish prospect went out to fight at the 45th event against Steve O'Keefe.
I've been preparing for my previous opponent, so I don't really know much about this new opponent, so I'm just going to go in with an open mind and fight wherever the fight goes.
The poor guy didn't even last 2 minutes because the Notorious One finished him in 1.5. An incredibly brutal TKO with elbows didn't take too long. With such a long and vivid streak of knockouts, he proved himself to the promotion's bosses and earned a shot at the Featherweight Championship.
I'm ready. Trust me on that. I'm ready. He's gonna know in there that it's another level for him. That's the way I see it. I see he's gonna know pretty early that he's in there with someone that he's not gonna be able to handle.
On June 2nd of 2012 at Cage Warriors 47, our hero became the Undisputed Champion. And what's noticeable is that the intertwining of Khabib and Conor's stories continues, while the Dagestani won by knockout, which is quite rare. Do you know how the Irishman conquered his first belt? With a submission, namely a choke in the second round. Symbolism slips through, friends. All that's left for us to do is to notice it. And by December 31st, the local organization offered McGregor a unique opportunity, a fight for the second championship, this time in the lightweight division.
And my coach John then said to them, what about the lightweight belt?
The Slovakian Ivan Bukinger got slumped out with Conor's signature counter left, which made McGregor the first double champion in Cage Warriors history. He was making history even before it turned mainstream.
I feel good. I just seen it in my head. And it's no surprise, you know. I visualised it. And no matter what people say, people could put me in a room, people could throw bricks at me and call me every name under the sun. I'd still walk out there thinking I'm the Don Juan. You know what I mean? Thinking I'm the number one.
That's the path the notorious Irishman had before signing a contract with the world's best league. And now, let's get back to Khabib. He debuted at the UFC on January 20th of 2012. His opponent was the fighter from Iran, Kamal Shaloris. Quite expectedly, the undefeated Dagestani showed that he was worthy of the major promotions level, stopping his opponent in the third round via submission. It was a great performance from the young Eagle, which marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life.
Unbelievable. When we're going to Russia? No, this kid's impressive. You're going to go to Russia? No, not soon. It won't be soon, but we're working on it.
The next challenge for the Dagestani threat happened to be a juiced up and powerful Brazilian, Gleison Tibau. He went up against our hero on July 7th at UFC 148.
I remember when he first came to AKA, he had his phone, right? Barely spoke English, and he would play me this audio of Bruce Buffer introduced him in his UFC debut. And it would say the Eagle of Dagestan, because that was his name before. It wasn't just the Eagle. It was the Eagle of Dagestan. And we would listen to it every day in the gym. And he would tell me, DC, one day I'm going to be undefeated, undisputed champion, and I'm going to make loads of money. And we would say, oh, you're out of your mind. And he did all those things.
If some random person were in our place who doesn't watch fights and simply looks at Wikipedia and sees that Khabib beat Tibau via unanimous decision, they would have thought that Nurmagomedov had a dominant performance. But that wasn't the case. The fight was extremely close, and to this day, many people think that the Eagle arguably lost to the Brazilian. But either way, the judges gave him the victory, and thus our hero extended his win streak to 18-0.
I think that I felt that I did win this fight simply because I was always in control. I always had the cage control, dominant control at all times. You know, the opponent was backing up quite a bit. Didn't make this fight as interesting as it could have been otherwise. But I think that I definitely did very well. Also, I think that the opponent gained pretty good experience from this as well, you know, with a wrestler like myself.
Khabib wasn't willing to sit on his laurels. His next fight in the UFC took place in January of 2013. He got another Brazilian fighter named Thiago Tavares, who by the way tested positive for drostanolone, but that's a different story. This time, Nurmagomedov demonstrated his striking skills and showed the entire lightweight division that he had knockout power as well. He managed to knock Tavares down and finish him with brutal elbows, making the referees step in. This victory impressed the public so much that it was mentioned on national television. Khabib Nurmagomedov, nicknamed the Eagle, in Sao Paulo at UFC FX7 event, earned a stoppage win over the Brazilian Thiago Tavares. Nurmagomedov knocked his opponent out in the very first round, and it happened to be the third out of 3 possible victories for the 24-year-old Dagestani in the world's biggest MMA organization. And just like that, in 1 year, the prospect from Dagestan joined the world's best league and had 3 fights, in 2 of which he finished his opponents and improved his record to 19-0. But what about the notorious one, you might ask? As we already said, in December of 2012, the Irishman became the double champion in Cage Warriors in 145 and 155 pounds. But the major promotion was not in a hurry to reach out to him. Here's a curious thing. When a modest paycheck of $2,500 for the fight in Cage Warriors ran out and Mac had to rely on welfare again, he was standing in a queue with other people, and at that moment he was approached by the fans who wanted to take a photo with him. Despite the fact that he was a national star in his hometown, it didn't affect his financial situation at all. By good fortune, he crossed paths with Dana White in Dublin, who went there looking for hungry warriors with fire in their eyes. He was flooded with requests to meet and take some Conor McGregor under his wing. Of course, he was standing out among all this grey mass. The UFC president saw potential in him, hunger for money and fame, charisma and other attributes worthy of combat sports star. So he just had to do the last thing. Sign this young guy and see how he will show himself on the big professional scene. In the end, the Irishman was set to perform in April at UFC on Fuel TV and clash with an opponent named Marcus Brimage.
We're doing this thing where we're getting everybody's name together from your actual voice so that our announcers pronounce your name correctly.
Conor McGregor.
One more time.
Conor McGregor.
I'm fighting myself. You know what I mean? There is no opponent. There's no. You're against yourself in there. You know what I mean? I just focus on what I'm gonna do and what I'm doing in training, and that's it. I just keep a calm mind and go in, look to be creative, and let things happen naturally. You know what I mean? I don't think too much about the other guy.
The debut performance of the notorious Irishman was sensational. It instantly became clear that this guy did not just come here to participate, but to earn greatness and recognition. He picked Marcus apart in 67 seconds, not giving him a single chance to offer resistance. And in the post-fight speech, he delivered the legendary line.
Dana! 60 G's, baby! Yeah, it feels good. I always think, like, you know the way when guys do be saying, yeah, let's go get fight of the night, and they kind of get up and say, yeah, okay, let's get fight and hug each other. I don't understand that, you know, that you're going to to me, that's a loss. You know, fight tonight is a loss because the contest has to be close, and I'm not looking for close. Like I said, I'm going in there to dominate, and I'm going in there to get the win. And I think guys that say that, let's get fighting tonight, I think they're selling themselves short. You can nearly tell where their career is going just by that comment alone.
Just for context, the newcomer impressed, surprised, and justified all the expectations of Dana White. He made the right decision when he listened to the opinion of the Irish fans and signed this charged and ready for greatness prospect.
Let me put it this way. I'm blown away. First of all, it's his first fight ever in the UFC. He walked out tonight and got into the octagon like it was his 100th fight in the UFC. From the minute the bell started, he was nice and relaxed, moved around. And even after he gets the knockout, it's like he's been here before and done it 100 times. Kid is totally relaxed. He's a beast. I'm impressed.
The next guy who opposed young Conor was an even younger Max Holloway. These two shared the octagon on August 17th at another Fight Night event.
A lot of hype, and it would be good to get a W, exciting W, and it's just a great fight for me right now.
When the door shuts, I'm going to go forward, I'm going to go at my opponent, and we're going to exchange. And let's see, the result is not in my thoughts. I'm just going to go out and perform and do what I do day in, day out, and have fun,
McGregor's second fight ended with a unanimous decision win, but not because he couldn't handle the young Hawaiian, but due to an injury that he sustained during the fight. Conor tore his cruciate ligaments, but still did everything he could to get his hand raised.
Max is tough. I wanted some exchanges with Max, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I'm blown away, but realistically, let's get the next one in, because I'm ready to whoop somebody real quick.
Years later, the Blessed One shared a funny story about what was happening in the cage the moment the Irishman got injured.
In that fight, the funny moment was, he took me down, I was on, and then I had him in half guard, and he was passing, and I had his ankle, and right when he had passed, I hit, and that's how he hurt his knee in the fight. He hurt his knee, and he screamed, he went, ah! Like a hurtful scream. So to me, yeah. So I'm in there, I'm on the bottom holding him. I was like, oh, you okay? He's like, yeah, keep fighting, mate. Keep fighting.
No, that's fire.
For now, let's leave the notorious Irishman while he's recovering from a leg injury and get to Mr. Nurmagomedov. After a third victory inside the UFC, the Dagestani prospect returned to the octagon on May 25th of 2013. He was up against not just somebody, but Abel Trujillo at UFC 160. If some of you forgot, it was the first fight when we witnessed not a poised, but an aggressive and jaunty version of Khabib. He even pushed the American at the ceremonial weigh-ins, which was an absolutely atypical behavior for him. But that's just the details. The main point is that the Eagle set the world record for the most takedowns in this fight, ragdolled poor Abel on the canvas, and took a dominant victory via unanimous decision. We have one fight, the fight with Trujillo, the one in which Khabib set an all-time UFC record for takedowns. When they wanted to get rid of freestyle wrestling, it was sort of a defiance from us. All of that was a demonstration that wrestling is a great sport. Wrestling is an honorable sport, and it deserves to be at the Olympics, so our performance with Trujillo, this record is still unbeaten. The next challenge for Nurmagomedov was Pat Healy. The world's best league gave him a spot on the UFC 165 card that took place on September 21st.
A lot of surprises for this guy, I've got my own plan coming, and I'm pretty good at breaking plans as well, and breaking guys.
The dangerous and massive American failed to withstand the onslaught, pressure, and terrifying wrestling of Khabib, and our hero did absolutely everything he was supposed to. Nullified his opponent's strong sides with his best qualities, did not show any flaws in his technique that could be exposed, and had 3 dominant rounds on his terms. Healy fought the best he could, but the Dagestani showed that he wanted this victory more, and he got it via unanimous decision.
The thing I love about this kid comes out and goes for it, man. He went in there against a bigger, stronger dude. I mean, if you look at how big Healy is for that weight division, he's huge. And he was getting hit with some big shots tonight. He can wrestle, he can punch, he's got good punching power too. Even against a bigger, stronger guy, he was hurting him in that fight. And then that slam, when he just scoops him up and slams him, Matt Hughes style. That reminded me of the old Matt Hughes where he would run a guy across the octagon and slam him. Kid's exciting, he's talented, and I think tonight he showed everybody what he's got. We're probably going to do big things with this kid. I love this kid.
After another successful performance, Khabib Nurmagomedov called out Gilbert Melendez on his social media. Surprisingly, the matchmakers ran with this idea and tried to put these guys against each other on February 22nd of 2014 at UFC 170. But closer to the set date, the fight had to be cancelled due to undisclosed reasons, and the Brazilian was supposed to be replaced with Nate Diaz. At least that was the promotion's plan, but the Stocktonian declined this offer. As a result, only by spring did it become clear who would be the next opponent of our hero. It happened to be RDA.
Hello, I am Khabib Nurmagomedov. I am UFC fighter. I am from Russia, Dagestan. My next fight, 19 April in Orlando, UFC on Fox 11. My opponent, Rafael Dos Anjos. Let's go fight.
When two future champions clashed in the cage, it became evident that Khabib had more cards on his hands in this fight. The beast from Dagestan delivered another masterclass on the ground, further solidified himself in the rankings of the lightweight division, and beat another top-level opponent in his way.
Well, I think, I had a very tough opponent. He's ranked number 5. I think I did pretty well tonight, and I think all of top 10 really need to learn wrestling.
After a 6th victory in the UFC and 22nd in his overall record, the Eagles' next opponent was prime Donald Cerrone. It was the golden times when Cowboy was on a win streak, earning various bonuses for his vivid highlights and dismantling his rivals to pieces. Initially, their fight was supposed to take place on September 27th of 2014. And then came into the game the main enemy of all professional athletes and fighters in particular, cruciate ligaments. As it turned out a bit later, it didn't even happen in training. Khabib was just playing basketball in the gym, performed a bad turnaround and injured his leg. It swelled instantly, due to which he had to be taken to Moscow for examination. As it turned out, he experienced the same tear of cruciate ligaments. Of course, he took a break to recover and kind of came back in the gym by May of 2015, but it was followed by an unfortunate reoccurrence of trauma, this time because of training.
Well, he was sparring, he had great sparring, and no contact was actually made. He took a step back. As he stepped back, his knee kind of went out on him. It's the same knee, and the thing of it is, when he came to training, he was, I would say, about 90%. So we were trying to work around the injury, the surgery, not the injury, because it wasn't injured. We were trying to work around the surgery, and it didn't hold.
In other words, the Dagestani, who gained a lot of traction, started going through a rough patch. So let's leave it at that for now and get back to McGregor, who already recovered from his own injury. He announced that he would headline the Fight Night event in July with Diego Brandao, securing himself a spot on the card that took place on his home turf in Dublin.
I don't think there's a fighter that in the UFC's history that has done what I have done in the space that I have done it. And Saturday night when I go out there and put Diego away in the first round, I'll prove my worth.
As far as danger, people say he starts strong and he dies down after that, but me personally, I don't think he's even going to start strong. I think straight from the bell he's going to feel pressure like he's never felt before. He's going to be on the back foot. He's going to see shots happening that he's never seen before. He'll have his back against that fence from the bell, and I'll press him and press him and press him and crack him with shots that he hasn't felt, and then ultimately he will crumble, and I do believe he won't get out of the first round.
That's the fight that introduced Mystic Mac to the masses, because the finish he predicted in the first round did not take too long. Conor McGregor effortlessly destroyed the Brazilian on his home soil and broke back into the fight game under the deafening ovations.
No, I said I was going to put him away in the first round. I put him away in the first round. Backstage now, he's an Irish guy, we're creeping in bit by bit, yeah. But before you know it, there'll be an Irish guy up there as well talking, so it's exactly as I planned, yeah. I didn't say we were here to take part, I said we were here to take over.
By that time, the Notorious One and Eagle already knew each other. Khabib was often seen among the fans in the first row filming the Irishman's walkouts to the octagon. They occasionally cheered for each other on the internet and exchanged words of support if one of them was going through tough times. From the media standpoint, they looked like loyal friends. though we understand that their relationship was more neutral. While McGregor was performing in the featherweight division and Khabib in the lightweight, and none of them got in the way of each other's career advancement, nothing stopped them from praising, supporting each other, and saying some kind things on social media. Peace, friendship, and bubblegum, that's what it was. Mind you, Nurmagomedov was still recovering from injuries, while a returned and extremely hungry Conor got the Louisianan Diamond as his next opponent, Dustin Poirier.
Don't know, who doesn't like to wear a suit? This is a big event, you know. If you give me half a chance to wear a suit, I'm gonna come in with a custom-made suit from scratch, straight from the fabric, fitted perfectly on my fantastic physique. Well, I don't know. My confidence comes from my performance, my work in the gym, my work ethic. You know, they don't work harder than me and they don't want it like I want it, you know. So my confidence comes from looking around at the division. I don't see anything in the division that troubles me, not one of them. They don't move like I move, they don't think like I think, and they don't talk like I talk. That's my confidence. His weakness is obviously his chin, you know. Look, don't get me wrong, I like the kid. He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back ass of nowhere. You know, I have nothing against the guy, you know what I mean? I'm sure he grew up in a circus or a fair. You know, he's a nice little kid. So Cletus, or you know, his cousin's probably named Cletus or something. I don't know. He's a nice kid, but his chin is going to be cracked, and it's going to be cracked early. And I don't hit like these people.
In this rivalry, Conor McGregor put himself on full display. His signature and exquisite dressing style, cocky lines, which don't just hurt but touch the most sensitive points, unshakable confidence in himself and his powers, huge support from the Irish fans, all of that shine like an enormous and bright banner for the UFC as a signal that this guy has not only potential but real chances to become the superstar and the face of the major MMA organization. The Notorious One just had to keep doing his thing, be himself, and fine-tune his mastery. While he kept on training, making his opponents lose their cool and drawing attention, slumping people out left and right, this hype train was running uphill to success with an insane speed.
Some people like to hate on that, but that's not my problem, you know. I show up and I show up ready to fight, so they are rewarding me for it. But again, Saturday night I will go in and prove my wood once again. Like time and time again, I will prove my wood every single time.
In fact, the Irishman masterfully got under the skin of a young and inexperienced Diamond, incapacitating him before the actual bout. In the cage, he just needed to execute the technical part, which he absolutely succeeded in. Dustin lasted less than 2 minutes, during which McGregor smashed his head with a double attack and put him to sleep.
So I said I'd knock him out in the first round, and I knocked him out in the first round. You can call me Mystic Mac because I predict these things.
I cannot hate the man that has the same dreams as me. You know, I have no emotion to them at the end of the day. I am on my journey. So he's a humble guy, he came to fight, and I have nothing but respect for these competitors. Make no mistake, I am cocky in prediction. I am confident in preparation.
Backstage of UFC 178, Conor McGregor took a picture with Khabib Nurmagomedov, and this photo is still highly discussed every year, even after their fight took place. But let's not get ahead of ourselves for now. Let's just establish that there was no animosity between the guys. And what could possibly cause it? While McGregor was tearing the game up and becoming a hype machine, destroying top-level featherweights, and the Dagestani was healing up his accumulated injuries and patiently waiting for his time to come, supporting the Irishman on the internet. It was all good, so to say. The next opponent of the rising star from Dublin was Dennis Siver. This time, the UFC put Mac in the main event of the fight night that took place on January 18th of 2015 in Boston, Massachusetts.
Hate is a beautiful thing to me. I enjoy it. The whole roster can hate me, the whole of America can hate me. I only need one American to love me, and that is Mr. Benjamin Franklin. As ever, a ton of media, but I get it done. Dana Pay as well, so it's all good.
And he's waiting for your autograph. So, that's so nice.
But that's not the most interesting part. Conor was gaining traction so quickly that people already saw him as the title contender in the near future. And this caused tricky questions from the journalists at the press conferences in an attempt to get the reaction out of the Notorious One. and the Irishman himself was only happy to throw a couple of cocky lines at the champion in the face of Jose Aldo to set the grounds for their future clash.
It was a traditional Thai style contest. You hit me, I hit you. Both competitors were very similar in styles, and that is why the contest was what it was. I posed different movements and different reactions than anybody on the roster, not just the division. So I am highly confident I will shut Jose Aldo down in spectacular fashion and take over the game. I say it how I want to say it, yeah? The king speaks however he wants.
The Russian-German MMA veteran did not last the entire distance. Or more so, he did not even survive the first 2 minutes of the second round because Mystic Mac disintegrated him to elementary particles and easily finished him via TKO.
He had nothing for me. And not one of them have anything for me. I'm not satisfied. Satisfaction is an emotion for the middle, for the people left in the mid-tier. So I don't get satisfied. I'm coming out. I'll watch the contest back. I'll pick a load of stuff from it. I'll learn from it. And then I'll come back and I'm going to kill Jose Aldo and take that belt.
And when Conor McGregor's name, which was already on everybody's mind, began to be brought up in serious conversations about a fight for the Featherweight Championship, Khabib appeared on the radar. To be exact, he answered his coach's question, who asked the Dagestani about the Irishman and his chances to win. Just in case, this video came out in the first half of 2015.
No, I like Conor McGregor, but he come 155. For me, need to smash him. No problem. He's striking guy. I like him. I think he can beat Jose Aldo, maybe finish him. But a lot of people think Jose Aldo beat him. But my opinion, I think he kill him. But if he come 155, welcome.
Be honest guys, were any of you surprised when you found out that Conor McGregor got a title shot after a win over Dennis Silva? While you share your opinion in the comments, we will give you our own answer. We won't shine our wheels and say that we figured it was the most appropriate option possible at the time, but who was better for that role? The King of Rio had reigned supreme for the division for 10 years. He already beat everybody there was, and some of them even multiple times. He needed a new challenge in the face of a young, cocky, and outrageous generation. The Notorious One was exactly fitting the bill, and on top of everything else, he generated the amount of attention that the world's best league hasn't seen since Brock Lesnar. So, from a business standpoint, their actions were more than justified. And if you think about it, it was quite bold of them to bet on the Irishman, believe in him, and give him an opportunity to challenge the dominant Brazilian champion, though his resume left much to be desired compared to Jose Aldo. The UFC went all in and put them against each other on July 11th of 2015 at UFC 189.
Intimidated on the feet and they shoot from halfway across the cage. I'm going to go in, I'm going to break him, I'm going to be on top of him from the bell. I will break Jose Aldo. I feel I will KO him inside one. If he makes that walk and if he is in the octagon, I feel every single movement I make will get an overreaction off of him because he's emotionally invested in it. There's too much in it for him. The whole country of Brazil, it's all piling on him. So I feel if I just go, he will react a million times too much. That's what I see the fight playing now. I feel him overreacting, overextending, and then being KO'd unconscious.
By the way, during the lead up to the super fight between the Notorious One and King of Rio, the topic with Khabib popped up once again.
What's your buddy Khabib?
My buddy Khabib? Yeah. There's no friends in this game. Business has no friends.
When Jose Aldo's chin hits the floor and forward, who exactly are you gonna go up and take the belt from at 155? Whoever has it. Who do you predict is gonna have it? I think Khabib will get the lightweight belt. All right.
Not accounting for the fact that the Irishman immediately stated that there were no friends for him in this game and shared his plans for the future, meaning his desire to take the second belt. He did not exclude an option of fighting the Dagestani, even knowing that the latter would likely conquer the lightweight championship. But for now, nobody took these talks too seriously. The set date was approaching and a clash between Conor and Jose was about to take place. But then came into the game unforeseen circumstances in the form of Aldo's injury and him pulling out of the event. The World's Best League quickly shuffled everything up and booked McGregor against Chad Mendes for the event in July, and put the Interim Championship on the line. Respect to the Notorious One for being ready to perform no matter what.
I am happy to be here, and I am happy to be representing my country on this stage. I am happy to be giving the UFC a $7.1 million gate, because it is me who is giving them this gate, nobody else. Realistically, Dave here shouldn't even be up here. I should be on that podium. I should be standing right there. That should be my spot, and Dave, maybe you should sit here, because it's me who's at the bringing all this. $7.1 million gate, highest numbers every time. We have superstars singing us into the octagon. Who do you think got that? Me.
I mean, in my opinion, Conor is a very one-dimensional fighter. He's a long southpaw stand-up fighter. He doesn't have wrestling, he doesn't have jiu-jitsu. You know, you wipe all that hype out of here, I'm gonna get in there and destroy this dude.
Well, I'm looking to go in there and represent my nation and fight with pride, and I'm gonna kill this man across from me. He's a little 5'2" twerp. He should have kept his mouth shut, and I'm gonna slap the face off him, and that's it.
We don't know how true that is, but there was a talk that Dana White and the Irishman made a bet for a big sum of money that Mendes wouldn't last 2 complete rounds against him. But that's not important at all, to be honest. Even if there was such a wager, it's their business. And the truth is that McGregor achieved his coveted goal that he has been pursuing for all these years. The fact that he couldn't hold his emotions back as he was announced the winner and the belt was wrapped around his waist speaks for itself. Conor became the interim featherweight champion, performing with an injury against a different opponent on short notice. In other words, a real legend.
I can't put into words how grateful I am for everyone to support me and follow me. It's why I still showed up here. So much went on during the build-up to this. So much media obligation. I traveled around the world twice and done 2 takes, one in case it was Jose and one in case it was Chad.
And finally came the moment when the notorious Irishman reached a truly superstar level. Even though he was an interim champion, he already proved himself in the eyes of the organization's bosses and became the only possible contender for the undisputed featherweight title. And Jose Aldo himself wasn't against fighting the Notorious One at all, but not because it would guarantee a huge paycheck and a big event that would be on everybody's mind, but because he wanted to punish him for disrespect. From this point of view, not being used to such behavior from his opponents, these kinds of things should be brought to a conclusion. After all, the Brazilian wasn't some newly minted champion. He has been earning his credit and reaffirming his status not for 1, 2, 3, 4 or even 5, but 10 years. Why does some young and green guy have the right to play all these mind games with him? So, the motivation of the King of Rio was understandable and the promotion's matchmakers gladly accepted it. His and the Irishman's mutual desire to rip each other's head off was given a date and a spot in the main event, December 12th of 2015 at UFC 194.
Otario! You know what that means? Pussy.
Yeah, I feel within 4 minutes the shots will have landed. It's on him after that. You know, I feel anything after that 4-minute mark of the first round will be a formality. It will be on him where he is mentally, where he is physically, and how much he truly wants this. I see him crumbling towards the end of the first, or not answering the bell for the second. But it will be wrapped up inside 1.
So for him to say he is the king and I am the joker, if this was a different time, I would invade his favela on horseback and kill anyone that was not fit to work. But we are in a new time, so I'll whoop his ass in July.
Little Brazilian. Ooh, vamos here. What you got to say now, face to face, man to man? What you got to say? You got nothing to say. You've got nothing to say face to face. Give me that, special in that.
I honestly, the first thing I said to him was, wow, I didn't think I'd see you again. So I was actually happy to see him. I shook his hand, I embraced him, I gave him a little cuddle, I told him everything's gonna be A-okay. It will be over before you know it.
Just please show up December 12th. So I don't want to scare him anymore. He's petrified. He went running before. So now I'm going to take the opposite approach. Cuddle him, look after him, whisper sweet nothings, tell him it's going to be all right. It will be over quick.
When the cage was closed, everybody held their breath. Jose Aldo looked tensed up to the limit. His temples were pulsating, eyes were bugging. He wanted to punish Conor, hurt him, beat him to a pulp for everything he said and leave him in a puddle of his own blood. He couldn't wait for the referee to start the fight and stood there anticipating the dear moment, while Mac looked overly, even unacceptably loose. He was smiling, jumping, saying some words, and also wanted to get to the action that everybody came there for as soon as possible. But absolutely nobody expected what happened next. The biggest fight in the featherweight division ended in 13 seconds. Conor McGregor made history, setting the record for the shortest title bout in the history of mixed martial arts. It was a sensation, no less. The notorious Irishman changed the MMA game, the world's best league, and the direction of the industry. Though one would think that this story was as old as time, another fighter fulfilled his dream. There were many of such, and there would be even more. But no, for some reason, the notorious one becoming the undisputed champion is perceived as something era-defining, as something that never happened before and unlikely to happen in the near future.
You know, confidence grows through work ethic, through seeing what's happening around you, and that's it. I put the work in, and it's paying off, and I truly believe that my work is the correct work. What I'm doing is correct. Yeah, I said close enough. I wasn't far off. I did say it would be over in one round. It was a lot earlier than I did say, but I did predict the shot because I did say the right hand would get him in trouble. He'd overextend on the right hand. He'd have that force, that power, and I would just whoop and bang. I actually did say I would slip and bang the left hand. I'm sure that will surface that I did say that exact shot. So once again, Mystic Mac comes true.
What do you think? Did Khabib congratulate the Irishman on his win in the title bout? Yes, of course. It was a fairly happy event and he had no problem congratulating the man who fulfilled his dream. But all of the Dagestani's kind feelings evaporated the moment the notorious one announced his desire to conquer the lightweight championship as well. And not only because Conor became a superstar who was given such an opportunity jumping the line of contenders, but also because McGregor himself didn't say a word that he wanted or planned to stay active. He wanted to win the belt, and he wasn't really interested, if at all, in what was going to happen next.
This man across from me has a title. He has nothing else but that. He is a free TV fighter. He has nothing else to offer me except that gold belt.
Eventually, everything happened rather quickly. Mac beat Aldo in the beginning of December, and already in March he was ready to fight RDA, who became the champion not that long ago. At the same time, the Dagestani couldn't wait to make his return. He was in the gym every day, training and rubbing his knuckles in anticipation of the day when he would enter the octagon. But here's the problem: besides Khabib, there was another figure in the lightweight division named El Cucuy, who deserved the title shot no less than the Eagle. Or more so, while Khabib was absent, Tony Ferguson did not stop performing and extending his win streak. Based on that, the world's best league did the following. They put the boogeyman against the hungry Dagestani and sat them in economy class, while McGregor jumped in his first class seat and got the title shot.
Very hard for me. I don't fight 2 years. Now I am very exciting. I know for fans, very interesting how I come back, but for me it's too. And that's why I ask UFC, give me toughest opponent. UFC say, we have Tony Ferguson, 7-win streak. And I said, let's go, let's do this.
As Khabib and Tony were actively preparing to face each other, the notorious Irishman was about to participate in the biggest event of his life. Things were going their way, the event was being promoted, the notorious one was boosting the public's interest with red panties night jokes. It couldn't get any better. But suddenly, this happened.
The show will go on, so who is McGregor going to fight?
A lot of guys wanted this fight, but we ended up with Nate Diaz. We felt this was the fight to make and the fight that the fans wanted to see.
Rafael dos Anjos injured his leg and pulled out of the title fight with McGregor, and Mac didn't want to go home without a war in the cage. After all, he went through the full training camp. He was already immersed in that war-ready state which he was usually in prior to the fight, so he didn't care who would share the UFC octagon with him.
Nate, how much are you going to make?
I make a lot more than everybody else. Yeah, a lot more than this last one, that is. He can thank me for that one. I've made more millionaires in this game than anybody else.
Give us your thoughts on this fight.
Hey, I'm here to kill or be killed in Stockton, California. Fuck this little bitch.
Nate Diaz, ladies and gentlemen.
It's another day for me. One pulls out, another one steps in. I'm used to it. I was just giggling at his little soft body. I've never seen a skinny guy. How can a guy be so skinny at the same time?
Yes, such a sudden circumstance as the champion's injury gave us one of the funniest, most legendary and memorable rivalries in the history of the sport. And most of the time, it happens exactly like that. People tend to remember spontaneous, vivid and unexpected things the most. Conor McGregor and Nate Diaz fought each other for the first time on March 5th at UFC 196. Even in a short time, these two managed to build the crowd's excitement to the absolute limit. Two wayward natures of these fighters had a perfect chemistry to promote the event, which till this day remains as one of the most famous in the organization's history. But let's talk about the actual fight now. What can we say? Such a sudden jump in two weight classes led to consequences. And let's be honest, the notorious Irishman underestimated Stockton's impudent son way too much, for which he paid with a submission loss in the second round. But even with this result, he managed to achieve great financial success and made a ton of money.
I took the chance going at 170, but Nate came in. He was, I felt I took him the first round, but I was inefficient with my energy. But I'm humble in victory or defeat. I respect Nate. He came in. He took the fight on short notice, came in at 170 and done the job. He was efficient. I wasn't efficient. That was it, I feel.
The loss to Nate Diaz slightly distracted McGregor from his initial goal. That's why he asked the UFC for a rematch with the Stocktonian to avenge his defeat. At the same time, the Dagestani overcame these 2 long years of waiting and broke into the octagon on April 16th. However, he couldn't fight Tony Ferguson because this time the American of Mexican descent got himself injured. El Cucuy was replaced by Daryl Horcher.
He called me, I don't understand why. He pulled out, he have to shut up now. But he talked too much, I asked him like May, June, something like this. But I training for this fight 4 months. I cannot wait 2 more months because I have a lot of upset fans. I have to come back with somebody.
We're not gonna lie, Nurmagomedov ran right through Horcher. He was so angry, hungry and ready for everything in the cage that on this night nobody could handle him. A TKO in the second round and a win after a 2-year-long layoff for the Eagle.
Last 2 years I sit down in the jail. I said this after a fight. Now I'm free. Now I'm ready for the title. And I'm happy about my comeback. I'm very excited when I go to the cage. You know, I'm very happy now.
Perhaps you might be surprised, maybe not, but Khabib Nurmagomedov was indeed offered a contract for a title fight. After all, a streak of 7 victories, a dominant and vivid performance in his return, and an overall record of 23-0, all of that did its thing. But here's the deal. Initially, the UFC did that based on the following. Tony Ferguson, as a contender who was no less deserving of a title shot, was recovering, and after that, he would need to have at least 1 more fight to get back on track. Conor McGregor was too fixated on the rematch with the Stockton's impudent son, so he was out of the picture. Meanwhile, Eddie Alvarez took advantage of the situation and performed at the Fight Night event in July, where he finished RDA via TKO in the first round and became the lightweight champion. So, because the matchmakers planned to put the notorious one against Diaz on August 20th at UFC 202, the title shot went to Khabib. Hope you didn't get confused. So, the next thing we are going to talk about is the rematch between the Irishman and old Nate.
Shut your fucking mouth, you'll do nothing. You'll do fucking nothing. Not one of you'll do nothing. Get the fuck
out of here. Get the out of here.
I wanted to keep it as is. Have my training camp and preparation for that frame, for that larger man, and that's it. I wanted no changes, so I got it.
He should have killed me when he had the chance, because now I'm back and I'm going to kill you and your whole team. You and them bitch kids.
I train always hard to kill. He already dead from the last time. This is a new guy. So his killer can't be killed again. USA, motherfuckers!
The second fight between McGregor and Diaz broke the PPV record compared to the first one. But it's not the most important thing here. Most of all, the Irishman wanted to get back in the win column with a triumph over the Stocktonian. And he did it. He got the victory by a majority decision in the conclusion of 5 rounds. The guys gave their all and delivered a spectacular performance, and Mac proved to himself that he had the capacity to beat such a tough opponent in the face of Nate.
Surprise, surprise, motherfucker! The king is back! They all dealt me! Every one of you dealt me! Woo! Down me now! Man's war! Down me now! Down me now!
It certainly lit a fire under my belly. Every single person doubted me. Every single fighter doubted me. Doubt me now. The interim 145-pound champion is a man that I KO'd in 13 seconds. I've got to figure out what's next, but right now I don't know what's next. There's many things in the pipeline. So sit tight.
And now pay close attention. If you've been wondering at what exact moment did the relationship between the Irishman and the Dagestani turn bad, here's a quick answer. It happened in the second half of 2016. Remember when the Eagle was given a fight for the title against Eddie Alvarez? So, the UFC did not just offer him this option, they sent him a contract. Nurmagomedov was on cloud 9. One would think like, here it is, the opportunity of his life. He was just a couple of months removed from his dream and a 25-minute fight against another fighter, and he already faced hundreds of them. Destiny itself got to his side, and now everything depended on him. And then suddenly, the UFC struck like thunder on a sunny day and turned everything upside down. Now, the one to fight Eddie Alvarez was none other than the notorious Irishman, and Khabib Nurmagomedov, who was put on the sidelines by a ruthless and cynical machine of the world's best league, would compete at the same event but against Michael Johnson.
Nurmagomedov blocked me on Twitter. I never would have expected it.
I hope you're very happy to see me. I hope.
I'm very happy to see you.
Eddie Alvarez and Conor McGregor, you promote this fight. UFC sent me 2 contracts and you never talk about this. Why?
You know why?
Why?
The answer is, as you know, you were used as a pawn in that game, and you know that's the truth. And I said that to you, and I said that to your management team, that you were being used.
How you know this if UFC never do this before? How you know this? You work with UFC. UFC block you.
There's a guy by the name of Frankie Edgar over there who could tell you a bit about history.
Block you, right?
No, they didn't.
No, you don't work with UFC no more, Fox, right?
Yeah, I don't work for them, right?
Oh, how you know this?
Because I've been around this sport for a long time, and they do this to get guys to have leverage as a negotiation ploy. Look at Frankie Edgar over there. He's been waiting to fight Conor McGregor for 2 years, and he hasn't done so. So I knew what was going on.
But UFC don't send him contract.
Khabib Nurmagomedov's resentment was pouring from everywhere, and one can't blame him for that. The man was not only given hope, but also reassured that he would be next to fight for the title, and then he was effed over for the sake of PPV buys generated by McGregor. And nobody really cared that this year he lost to Nate Diaz by a stoppage and then returned to the winning path via decision. And he fought not even at the lightweight but welterweight division. In other words, the Eagle had many questions to the league, while the notorious one was busy promoting the upcoming fight against Alvarez.
Listen, the Irish, we built this damn town. I'm saying serious. We built this city. Now we're back. Now we're coming to claim what's ours, so it's an honor to be here. Coming in here listening to all these fans, it truly is a dream come true. I cannot wait to perform for you. I'm gonna take out one of your own. I'm gonna cash your own money, but make no mistake, it's all love. The Irish love New York, and I'm honored to be here.
This guy got 8 minutes of fighting him, that's it. He quits after 8 minutes, every fight. He's not a championship fighter, he's never been. And he's never, ever fought anyone in UFC like me, ever.
He's gonna be shooting for his life. but it's a long 25 minutes in there. I can hit you from anywhere. And that's what's going to happen to him. He's going to be shooting, panicking. I'm going to be hitting him from everywhere. Sooner or later, he's going to fall. One of those elbows, one of those shots are going to dig into that soft, sweet spot into the temple, and that's all she wrote. Two-weight world champion, UFC history, New York, the Irish are back.
Due to the aforementioned circumstances, the atmosphere at the fight week was not the most pleasant. Everybody was squinting at each other, exchanging some harsh words. Overall, it was tense.
She say after this fight, I'm gonna fight for the title.
Do you believe it?
I think I deserve this. But about what happened, this is up to main event. Because if Conor win, of course he no take this fight. And if Alvarez win, I hope he take this fight.
But there's more. At the very peak of the bad mood, that's how we describe the process of weight cutting, Mac and Khabib crossed paths backstage. There's even footage of that where we can see that the guys were not smiling at each other anymore. The warmth that could be seen in that famous picture from 2014 completely disappeared. The Notorious One put his foot in the Dagestani's territory and prevented him from conquering the title. And this cannot be forgiven. The Eagle said that he would smash Conor in the future. The Irishman responded with something similar, and then other people separated them. In the end, both guys got the job done.
Be careful, we're gonna smash your boy.
Let's focus on what we're gonna do here. Okay, let's focus on what we're doing.
I know who I am.
Come on, let's go, let's go.
We've never seen anybody do this to Michael Johnson before.
Nurmagomedov beat Michael Johnson, battering him until the third round and then made him tap with a vicious Kimura. In the post-fight interview, he couldn't hide his anger and addressed both the UFC and the Irishman.
This is true. This is not trash talking. Hey guys, Irish only 6 million, Russian 150 million. I wanna fight with your chicken because this is #1 easy fight in lightweight division.
At the same time, Conor dismantled Alvarez in 8 minutes, which Eddie was talking about at the press conference, and on top of that, became the first double champion in UFC history. As always, the Notorious One became a pioneer in doing things of a legendary caliber and paved the way for the future stars in the league who would want to take the same path after the second belt. Of course, all the attention was drawn only to the Irishman.
I've spent a lot of time, Joe, slating everybody in the company. Backstage, I'm starting fights off everybody. I've ridiculed everyone on the roster. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
Look, it feels great. It feels familiar. I saw it so clearly. I swear to God, I saw it so clearly, so consistently, until it's here in reality.
Meanwhile, Khabib did not sit on the sidelines. He disclosed some of the details of that stare down backstage prior to the event.
Conor McGregor, there was a apparent backstage altercation. What exactly happened?
I saw video how he looked with Tyron Wood the morning, and after my way in, when I go, he watched me. I say, what? Maybe he think I'm Tyron Wood or Eddie Alvarez. I'm different, you know. I'm living in the street. Where I'm from, this is different. This is not about like camera here or not camera here. This is not about this. This is about different. For me, it's all my life. I have a lot of fight in the street. I know when I come to professional, I start this because I can hurt somebody, but I have big experience. He watching like me, like, for me, it's like nothing happened. It's okay.
Thanks, guys.
But I think very soon. Yeah, I a little bit talk with him. It's not good.
Well, no, what'd you tell him?
I talk about. I tell him, hey, I have to fight for the title. You know this. I tell him I don't want to smash your face, and I already beat you. Like, you have to give up.
We don't know if that was a guess or he simply expressed his hopes that McGregor would fight him, given that he was the undisputed champion and the Dagestani the main contender The point is the same. But these hopes had nothing in common with reality.
I mean, I'm still working, still hustling every day like I am not me, like I am not in the position I'm in. So it's good to be on top. It's good to be two-weight world champion. It's been an amazing year, a learning year for me. Like you said, a roller coaster of a year, many ups, many downs. But I'm happy now. I came out strong at the end of it, and here I am standing tall.
Apart from the UFC and Conor himself, not many people knew what kind of prospects the Irish fighter was talking about, because at the press conference after the event, he stated that he wanted to take a short break and spend some time with his family as they were about to have a kid. But nobody, even in their wildest dreams, would have guessed what plans Mac and the major MMA organization had. Khabib was left on the sidelines again. The best thing the organization could do for him is another offer to fight El Cucuy, but with a small correction, to sweeten the medicine for both athletes. The Interim Lightweight Championship was put on the line, and the fight itself was supposed to happen in the first half of 2017.
Real championship fight. I don't care about him. You guys know his uncle Dana gave him gift. He jumped over with all contenders and he fight for the title. You know, like, I don't understand this fight. He catch him couple times. He go down at the Alvarez. You know, this fight for me is fake fight, and I don't think about him. Hey, we have real fight now. This is like people main event. You know, this is one of the biggest fight 2017.
As for Conor, he was actively setting the grounds for this very event.
Floyd's afraid of a fight. Floyd doesn't want a fight. Floyd wants a boxing match, and I've already said, no problem. Get my fucking money. And when you get my money, then we can box in this boxing match under these set of specific rules that will keep you alive. So, I'm here. Where's my money? Because if you keep dropping my name and you haven't got the money, then I'm going to show up at your front door. So, we'll see. But Floyd does not want a fight. Floyd wants a match under a specific set of rules. I don't need rules. So, I'm open. Let's see what happens. Right now it's just talk.
To not extend an already long story, we will retell you the main events that led us to what we all came here for today. You might be shocked, but the fight between Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov ultimately didn't happen. Due to problems with lungs, the Dagestani couldn't make it to the octagon and pulled out a day before the fight. Another health issue really knocked him down and saddened him. Given this situation, the UFC gave El Cucuy a fight for the interim title against Kevin Lee. The notorious Irishman shared the ring with Floyd Mayweather in August of 2017 and lost via TKO. But it's not that important, to be honest. The notorious one did what nobody else could or likely to do in the future. Nobody. The PR machine of the world's best league did absolutely everything possible to create a global superstar, and he wasn't a fool himself. He contributed his 100%, including mental and physical aspects. But it wasn't the end of McGregor's success. He made so much money that it would be enough to set him and his whole clan up for generations. A competitive nature in this man laid back and went into a deserved retirement. But he forgot to notify the major promotion about that, as it continued to cause a logjam in the lightweight division. Think about it. In October, the Boogeyman became the interim champion, 11 months after the notorious one became the UFC double champion. And strangely enough, nobody was bothered by that. The Eagle recovered again and came back into the game only in December, when he battered and dominated Edson Barbosa in the span of 15 minutes. At the same time, Artem Lobov's turning, if not fateful, interview appears on the internet. Does Conor hear any of the words coming from Khabib, like he taps like chicken and stuff like that? Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. Conor fought Mendes with one leg. With 12 weeks out to the fight, he injured his cruciate ligaments again. Conor took this fight. He went out there and won, while Khabib has pulled out already 6 times. Like, as soon as he feels pain in the ass or somewhere else, he pulls out. He can't even make weight. He doesn't care about the fans that came from Russia to see him. People spent money, traveled to see him, and he didn't come out to fight. And not once, not two, not 3 or 4 times. So, who is the chicken here? Who is scared? Conor goes out there every time, no matter what. He is a real fighter. He is the real champion. Have you ever seen Conor pull out of the fight? Everybody has injuries and other issues related to weight cutting. But one of them is the champion, and he fights no matter what. And the other is a coward and pulls out time and time again. When did the bosses and matchmakers grudgingly admit that they couldn't keep the roster in the dark any longer? Here's the answer. Only by April of 2018. It was quite a long period of time, but let's not get distracted. On that date, there was a 4th attempt to put 2 active figures against each other in the face of who? That's right, Khabib and Tony. It was UFC 223 where the Undisputed World Championship was put on the line. But something went wrong, and on April 1st, we found out that Ferguson wouldn't perform at the event. Nurmagomedov remained on the card, and the league was frantically looking for a replacement. Meanwhile, this episode takes place. The Dagestani encounters Artem Lobov in the hotel and confronts him for what he said back in December. And unfortunately, or luckily, it wasn't limited to only words. He slapped the hammer for his insults and tells him not to say that kind of stuff ever again. What did it lead to? You already know the answer.
There's a guy named Artem who is Conor's best friend. He's from Russia. Khabib is from Russia too.
Okay.
There was some kind of Russian stuff going on between those two in New York, and Khabib slapped him, surrounded him with his friends and slapped him. He picked up the phone and called Conor.
That's embarrassing,
Khabib
isn't
slapped me. Conor fueled up the G650 and loaded it up with Irish guys. They flew to New York and attacked the bus that he was on.
He attacked the bus.
That's exactly how it happened. McGregor's noble intention, as he was in a hurry to stand up for his friend, got darkened by terrible consequences. During the bus assault, in which besides the Eagle and his team there were many other fighters, some of the athletes got injured and they had to withdraw from the upcoming event. This incident made the world's best league reconsider their safety measures for fighters, so that such situations wouldn't happen in the future. Soon, Mac fled the scene and the news outlets posted Khabib's reaction to what happened, while Dana White reported to the media representatives.
Honestly, I don't have any canned statements or anything to say other than what happened here today is Conor and approximately 20 guys apparently were let in through the doors by the MacLife guys who were credentialed here. They opened the doors for them through an entrance. They stormed the building, got down to the loading docks where the fighters were getting on the buses and started to attack the buses, throwing trash cans and dollies and things like that. Broke one of the windows and cut Michael Chiesa really bad. He had glass, he cut his head, he cut his face. Rose Namajunas apparently was almost hit. She's super upset right now and basically left and walked back to the hotel. And hurt one of our employees, broke one of our employees' knuckles, and other injuries, and obviously everybody's shaken up when 30 thugs storm these guys are all cutting weight and getting ready for a fight. This is the most disgusting thing that has ever happened in the history of the company.
Send me a message, hey, come here, this place, and that's it. Without security, without UFC, without nothing. Just send me a message, let me know where, and that's it. And with what time.
Meanwhile, the fight week comes to an end. Max Holloway, who replaced Tony Ferguson, pulls out as well due to issues with weight cutting. There was only one day left until the main event, and then comes him, the savior.
Yeah, so as soon as we found out that Holloway didn't make weight, and that he was medically unfit to continue to cut weight, we started looking at the other guys on the card. Pettis, we jumped the gun too fast and said, we were going to give Pettis the fight. Al, Iaquinta, and Felder were demanding the fight, going crazy, wanted this fight badly. And I love that. And if you look at, where Al is ranked and, his last 5 fights, he made the most sense. The problem with Al was he was 155.2. which isn't fight. Well, that was with his underwear on. The commission literally weighed his underwear, and they were 0.2, so he made weight.
With great difficulty, UFC 223 ultimately took place. Khabib Nurmagomedov beat El Iaquinta in the conclusion of 5 rounds and became the new lightweight champion. The further turn of events was quite predictable for the major organization. Think about it yourself. 2 bright representatives of absolutely different styles, Conor McGregor, a superstar at his peak, a former double champion, the man who was making history with his every move, and Khabib, an incredible dominant Dagestani machine with a perfect record of 26-0, who reached the top not that long ago and was ready to make the Irishman address this insidious assault on the bus and his team. Add to that the hype in the media, the notorious one's court process, and mutual desire to whoop each other's asses. The Eagle wanted to punish Conor no less than he wanted to punish Khabib. On top of that, Mac truly wanted to hand Nurmagomedov his first career loss and take away his perfect record. In other words, the news that the fight was going to happen on October the 6th did not surprise anybody. The World's Best League announced that our heroes would clash in the main event of UFC 229.
More personal than usual, but for me, like I said before, I'm a veteran now. I've been almost in every damn weight division. I've been in every combat sport at all levels. So it can be anything to me now. It's just I'm gonna get in this cage and maul this man, and that's it. So
I came back for the love of this, to come and shut this man up. A little rat, a little weasel, a little hard man in groups, cowers away, and that's what you saw with that little shite on the bus over there. He his jocks after doing something to his own countryman that had nothing got to do with anything. Fanboy! The man was a fanboy. He bought t-shirts of mine. He fucking supported the cause. You remember that? You little fanboy. You little fanboy bitch. He bought t-shirts to support the cause. Nothing but respect. And then over on his neck of the woods, a man involved in something who's now in prison. Vladimir Putin locked him up for embezzling 150 million worth of money from the Russian people. Started to invest and pump money into his gym. So he started to grow in power. Started to gain this false power and started thinking he was a little hard man, tough guy. Then shit hit the fan with your man. He gets locked up and now there's not a bean left. And now here I am to put the nail in it.
I'm come here for smash this guy.
Smash me, mate. Smash me. Smash me. You say send location. Here it is, right here in front of you. I'm right in front of you. Did you not see me outside the bus? No. Did you not see me right in front of you outside the bus? I showed you my hands, no weapons. The first thing when I showed up at that bus, I showed not my hands to let it know I come here unarmed, no weapons. Step off the bus. You talk the big game, now I'm here. He done nothing. He sat and took a that bus, hid and cowered behind women and caused what happened to happen. So that's that.
You tap three 4 times. You tap 4 times.
So what? I'll tap your head off the canvas, kid.
You tap like chicken.
I'll tap your head off the canvas. He's a glass jaw. The Chechens, my Chechen friends, the Vainaki soldiers, they told me that they have chicken jaws in Dagestan. And I believe them because I know a glass jaw when I see one. And I've seen this man wobble many times. I've seen his brother sparked unconscious in another promotion. I know he is afraid of a smack. And if you're afraid of a smack off me, a smack will feel like a double-barrel shotgun. So I believe the inside the force. But I have been wrong before. I will be prepared for 5 rounds. You're looking at a fighting veteran. I've came through it all. I've been through it all. I've been on both sides of the world. I've been on the boxing side and I've been on this side. I'm ready for any occurrence. But this man is a glass jaw bomb. And I'm going to shatter him like that glass was shattered. May God have mercy on its soul. On October 6th.
This is my 3rd fight in last 9 months, you know, and 26-0, never lose round. And I don't know what this guy talking about. I don't understand what he gonna do 6 October. He think whiskey gonna help him? I don't understand.
He knew what he signed up for. I've been late in this. The traffic is a little heavy. There must be a McGregor fight going on. I don't know where the little fool is. He's better off running anyway. You know yourself, I bet you he was saying hello to up here. He didn't say anything the last time, so, I mean, whatever, it is what it is. These things happen.
I'm gonna shake his hand after the fight, win or lose, will you?
No way. No way.
Why not?
Because...
Do you feel like Khabib's a fake champion?
I mean, he fought an unranked novice, we'll say. I don't believe he is champion. I don't believe Ferguson is champion. I believe they know that, especially now that the real champion is back.
Don't let that smelly rat put that hat on your head, Joe. The smell of that fucking thing. Don't ever let him put that hat on your head. It's good to be back. UFC fans, it's good to be fucking back. The king is home.
First of all, I want to say Alhamdulillah, God gave me everything. Alhamdulillah. I know you got this, don't like this. Alhamdulillah. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna smash your boy, guys. I'm gonna smash your boy. And I wanna say thank you, all Irish fans, you know, all fans around the world. Because of you guys, this fight is happening. Thank you guys, and tomorrow night, inshallah, and still.
With him, I'm gonna talk a little bit different. And, you know, make him humble, teach him, sometimes slap him, you know, make him tired. Because, like, when you're always tired, he give up, you know. He try to, like, take you down, you know, oh, please choke me very quickly because I'm tired, like he did with Nate Diaz. But it's gonna be a long night for him. It's gonna be a long night. I'm gonna make him tired and maul him.
Come on, baby. Let's go. Move around, baby. Move around, move around. Let's go, champ. Let's go, boy. Kick some ass. Come on, boys. All right, fellas, kick some ass. Let's go.
All of you know good and well how the fight went down. Khabib Nurmagomedov did whatever he wanted to McGregor and even more. He was even close to beating Conor by a knockout. That's how significant the difference in their levels was. But of course, given the tension, tempers of both guys and their genuine disdain for each other, it wasn't over after the referee stopped the fight. It was just the beginning. The Dagestani got so mad that he jumped out of the octagon and pounced on Dylan Dennis, a former teammate of the Irishman. There was a massive brawl between the two teams, who were willing, if not to kill, at least really hurt each other, that's for sure. The UFC managed to handle this mess, but this night was very taxing for them, no doubt about it.
Here's what's going to happen. What's going to happen is, this is what I believe. If I put this belt on you, everybody, not other people might get hurt.
It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's all right, it's all right.
Yeah, no, listen, being in there, in the middle of this thing when it was going on, I felt that I have to start worrying about the fans and people that are inside the arena, media, the guys that are, you know, that are there watching the fight. And I felt that if we put the belt on him in the middle of the octagon, it was going to rain.
What's interesting is the Eagle's comments years later and his treatment of the events on that historic night.
Catch his neck and I choke him like he tap, you know, it's like, and I think, hey, you bring like thousands of people from Ireland here on different part of world, and you tap in front of them, like, and you talk about like about warrior or something like this. How you can tap? Go sleep, go sleep. Like, and he tapped, and I was like, okay, it's not enough. I need something, you know. It's like, and I see like some his corners like talk with me, like, and I think, oh, I have to bite his heart. You know?
Eventually, the relationships between these guys did not get better, and it was absolutely impossible. Khabib is a principled human and a man of his word. He said that he would never mention Conor's name in the media and fight him again. Even though McGregor himself wasn't against this idea, and Dana White tried everything to drag Khabib back out of retirement for the biggest rematch in the history of the sport.
The job was done in Brooklyn. He didn't get off the bus. He embarrassed himself. He embarrassed his people. The way he tries to portray himself, and you know. But look, that's a different time. It's 2021. You're talking 2018 now. There's a competitive nature in there now. I would like to compete. You know. Correct, and he doesn't want it. He's afraid of it. Let's be real here. He's walking away from the sport. He's, you know, and at the end of the day, I smacked his whole family around inside that octagon.
this fight with Poirier is trending bigger than the fight with you and Conor on pay-per-view. Imagine what you and Conor would do in another f***ing fight. Just saying. I'm just saying.
But the Dagestani fighter was adamant. Besides the passing of his father, which did not leave him any options but to retire from the sport, he also had solid principles. He said that he didn't want to hear a thing about the Irishman, and he had the right for that. The Notorious went away over the top with his actions and statements, and compared to that, a slap to his friend's face in the hotel looks like something insignificant. And Conor himself was adding fuel to the fire with his reckless behavior, which did not go unnoticed. As for the Eagle, in 2018, he stated that soon the world would find out what kind of a man his nemesis really was, calling him a grapist. But this information popped up only years later.
I remember everything, almost, and it's like like people never talk about one things. People never talk about when I jump. With me jump all this sport, to another level.
Till this day, these two occasionally exchanged, so to say, kind words in social media, which once again tells us that they would never be able to bury the hatchet of war. The night of October 6, 2018 divided these individuals on such a deep level that it was simply impossible. I'm just curious, when you were choking him, when it was basically over, when one thought he might even go to sleep, were you asked like, if the referee wasn't there, would I let go? No, I wouldn't, because it was the moment when your emotional state reaches its peak, the ceiling, one could say, and I think it was fair. We both knew what we were getting into, and it's not the case when you meet somebody on the street and start choking them. He is one of the best fighters in the world. The fight was scheduled 6 months in advance, and we go out there and find out who is better. Would I kill him? I think not. I think I wouldn't kill him, but I would definitely put him to sleep. Would I have control over myself at this moment? We'll never know. We'll never know. But until what point would I hold him? That's a great question. I don't know. And now, let's make a quick summary of all the above. The rivalry of Conor McGregor and Khabib Nurmagomedov was one of the brightest and most significant chapters in the history of the UFC and mixed martial arts. It transcended the sporting competition, turned into a global phenomenon which affected the development of the sport, media, business, and even social discussions. This fight proved that MMA can compete with boxing and other sports in terms of commercial success, opening new financial horizons for the UFC. McGregor and Nurmagomedov became symbols of two worlds. Conor, the Irish king of trash talk, whose charisma and outrageousness attracted the Western fans, turning MMA mainstream. And Khabib, a fighter from Dagestan who embodies discipline, traditions, and spirituality. His wins in the octagon boosted interest in MMA in Russia, CIS, Muslim countries, and among diasporas around the world. The UFC used this rivalry to solidify their positions in new regions. For example, after this fight, the popularity of events in Abu Dhabi grew significantly, and Khabib became an icon for the millions of fans who didn't follow MMA before that. Their fight was a classic clash of styles in martial arts. It emphasized the importance of well-roundedness in MMA, making fighters and coaches learn every aspect of the fight even deeper. After UFC 229, many gyms improved their wrestling preparation, and Khabib showed that even boring grappling can be dominant and spectacular. All the aforementioned scandalous events demonstrated that personal stories and conflicts can transform the sport into show business, attracting the bigger audience. Besides everything else, their rivalry made UFC reconsider their approach to safety measures at the events and fighters' discipline. After the incident with the bus and post-fight brawl, the promotion enhanced security to defend the reputation of the sport. And the last thing that we can point out is sporting resonance. This clash transcended everything, touching on religion, national identity, and morals. For some people, Khabib became a hero who defended the honor of his family and faith. Many showed him respect when he refused to shake Conor's hand after he insulted his father and religion. And for others, McGregor was a symbol of freedom of speech, fearlessness and showmanship, without which the sport loses its factor of spectacle. This conflict showed that MMA is not just a fight, but a stage for a clash of cultures and values. Given all of the above, one can draw a conclusion that only these two and the chemistry between them can be called a catalyst for the growth of the world's best league as a global empire, as it clearly proved that MMA could produce superstars like Messi and Ronaldo, combining sport, drama, and human relationships with personal stories. Even after they stopped competing, this clash remains the standard of how personal rivalry backed with mastery, charisma, and genuine emotions can change the entire industry. And what are your thoughts on the biggest conflict in MMA history? Leave your opinion in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the new videos, and of course, hit the like button if you enjoyed this one. See you soon.
Khabib Abdulmanapovich Nurmohamadov.
Khabib Nurmagomedov got on and blade.